Hi guys, today is planting day and we're going to be working in the front flower bed. I have a wide variety and assortment of things to get in the ground, some of which I know where they're going to go. Some I'm not so sure if they're going to make it in or not, because I have this idea in my head of how I kind of want the flower beds to look, but as I kind of go along and start putting things in the ground, I kind of change my mind and start shuffling things around. So today is going to be one of those days where we're just going to kind of see how far we get, what we put in the ground, and just see how it all looks. So let me show you what I've got going on in my cart, because I've got a cart full of a variety of things, and then I've gone outside and laid a few things out in the flower bed, kind of just to get an idea of what they look like. Do I like them where they are? And I've kind of just been playing around with it. So let's go and take a look. In my cart, I've got a Bobo hydrangea, and I have another one in the front yard. I've got some Monarda, some Echinacea, a Pugster periwinkle. I've got my cart full of goodies. Let's go to the front. Oh, this thing is heavy. Oh, real quick. Look. That's the arborvitae hedge. Hanging out in the sun, doing its thing. They're all looking really good, and I'm really happy with them. And we've had a bunch of rain, so I haven't had to come out here and water them so much. All right, we'll come back around and check them out later. We have so much stuff in here. I'm just knocking things over. Okay. Oof. All right, let's hope that stays there. So this is the bed that we're going to be working in today. It's a full sun bed from about 12:30 until sundown. So everything I have in here is full sun, and I have everything laid out. Pretty much what you see right now, I think is going to be where everything is going to go. So let me show you what I've got going on right now, and then we'll just start digging holes and getting things in the ground. So here is the whole length of the bed. Just kind of minus this little mulch pile right here. And that's the gate that leads to the backyard. And right over here, I have a Gold Champion arborvitae, which is a slow grower. It gets about 6 feet tall, 5 feet wide, and I think it'll look good here. It's got a very chartreuse, yellowy kind of foliage, kind of like a limey green. And I think it'll look really good here because as it grows, it'll kind of cover part of this downspout and some of these like recycling bins, and just kind of fill out, and it'll just look really nice. And then under each window, I was initially going to put the Vanilla Spice Sweet Spires, or no, the Vanilla Spice Summer Sweets in here, but they get a little too big for this area. I think they get anywhere from like 4 to 6 feet tall and wide, and they do put on an autumn show and they turn this bright, vibrant yellow. But because I have this going in the ground and it's already giving me my yellow, I thought it was going to be a little too much. And I also didn't want to cover the windows completely. I wanted to still be able to look outside from the inside. So I decided on the Scentlandia, and I think that's just going to be gorgeous. So let me show you what this plant does. Okay, let's get the tag so I can show you guys. This is the Scentlandia Sweet Spire, and this is just a cute little shrub. It's got these white bottle brush blooms, and it's supposed to have a fragrance to them, but this is late in the season, and I think it's already flushed out its blooms, so we'll just have to wait till next season and see. But I have read where a lot of people have said that it's just a beautiful fragrance, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. And this is why I opted for this one. Not only does it get 2 to 3 feet, let's see if you can see that, 2 to 3 feet tall and wide, but look at that autumn show. It turns a vibrant red, kind of like the Laura petalum I planted in the other side of the bed. So I think that's just gonna look so good. And that'll give me kind of like my red interest for a little bit. But I think that's just gonna be amazing. So I'm gonna place one Scentlandia under each of the 3 windows out front. And then in between, I'm gonna put a green velvet boxwood because I think that's gonna be a nice little bit of evergreen interest and winter interest because I've got the gold champion arborvitae, some boxwoods in the back. And then I have this cute little Colorado blue spruce, and this is a dwarf variety, so it only gets 24 to 48 inches tall and wide, but this is going to give me a nice blue evergreen interest, and this is also going to be another piece of winter interest, and it's just so cute. Look at it. It's probably like 18 inches tall right now, and I think I'm going to tuck it in right here and just kind of let it fill in on its own. And then right over here, we've got a Bobo hydrangea, and I think I'm gonna put another one right over here and just kind of have this nice little poof of hydrangeas right next to that blue. And then I've got this Pugster Pinker that we took out of the ground right over there when the guys were here and they were moving the downspout, and it's been hanging out here. And I thought I was gonna put it there, but I might end up putting it in this corner right here. And then I've just got a whole bunch of other stuff that I don't know what I'm gonna do or where I'm gonna put it. I've got some whipcord arborvitaes over here. I've got a whole bunch of salvias and veronicas. I've got a couple of denim and lace Russian sage. So there's just a whole slew of stuff that could end up in this bed today. But I do know the boxwoods, the Scentlandias, and the spruce and the arborvitae are going in the ground. And probably that butterfly bush will end up right there where the purple leaf sand cherry has kind of been hanging out. I got this because I thought I wanted to put it in the bed right over here, but it does get 6 to 10 feet tall and wide, and I didn't really want something that big right in front, especially with this huge crepe myrtle just kind of sitting here. So yeah, that's kind of sort of the potential setup for today. I'm going to be removing this little faux concrete pad that the Scentlandia is sitting on, but I am going to leave the hose reel right here for now because eventually I do want to swap it out for one of those retractable ones like a hose link. But for this season, you know, it's fine the way it is. I'll plant around it and we'll figure it out next season. I've got my biotone starter fertilizer. There's gypsum underneath it. I've got the big 9-inch auger today. We're ready to go. I forgot I had Mo's Crocs on earlier. I had to go change and put on my boots because now we got the auger. I'm going to amend the soil with a little bit of gypsum and biotone starter fertilizer. And I'm going to do that for all the holes. Now let's get this. Oh. It's been in its nursery container for too long. I may have to cut this out. Oh, here we go. Oh, wow. It's definitely a little root bound. There we go. And you can see how the roots are like swirling around themselves. That's a good indicator of it being a little root bound. But that's okay. It's going to be much happier in its new home. Okay. Let's find its pretty side, its front-facing side. And I just want to also show you guys, I am planting it a little bit higher, probably like a ½ inch higher than the soil line. I know it looks like I'm probably planting it lower because the auger kicks up this like little rim of dirt. But if I move it away, there's the soil line. I'm just checking its position. That'll be good there. And then we're just going to backfill. Okay, let's keep going. Well, there seems to be a row of brick along here, so I'm going to dig some of it out. Well, I am a disgusting, sweaty mess. I was not expecting to have to dig a trench from one end of the bed to the other, but apparently there's a layer of brick sitting there. Luckily, it's just one brick all the way across, but you gotta see this because I have no idea why this is even here. This is the walkway that leads to the backyard. This is the flower bed, and right in the center you can see the terracotta brick, and it goes all the way to the other end. So I am going to dig that up and then get back to work. And I've kicked so much soil all over this walkway, I'm gonna have to hose it down. Oh boy, fun, fun, here we go. 27 bricks and a whole bunch of bits and pieces of cement are in the gorilla cart. I think I know why these were there. I think initially growing up, the front porch actually used to come out, let me show you. It used to come straight out like this to here, and it had steps going up. So this whole thing was brick in the front, and it had a railing over here, and you just kind of step down onto this walkway. And there was a flower bed right over here, and I think it was brick lined too. So I think what I just dug up was part of my parents' old flower bed. So, but it wasn't really doing anything. It was not like it was serving any purpose. It was buried underground. So that's a good thing. I'm gonna take a break and then we'll get back to probably filling up this trench again before we start digging. And this is the trench that I just dug all those bricks out of. And now I'm gonna go in and fill it back up and kind of blow this whole area off before we start back up with our planting. All right guys, I got everything backfilled back in. I just blew off the walkway. So now we're gonna go back to planting. I bet you thought we were done planting. That's not the case. It's the next day and I got a little derailed and lost track of time because I ended up unearthing a layer of brick underneath the soil when I was auging the holes. And I remembered that that is probably a very old layer of brick that my parents used to line the flower bed way back in the day. And I think they may have tried to get it out eventually, but they couldn't because it was cemented. So I think they just put more soil on top of it and then put that scalloped brick around it. So I think everybody just kind of forgot that there was a brick border underneath it. But I was able to dig it up, to make a trench, dig up the brick and load it up in the gorilla cart. But I had to stop the video because Shuey had a little vet appointment. He's fine. But we kind of, you know, between that and the appointment and the brick and all that, we ended up losing track of time and we ran later in the day. So it's now the next day and it is beautiful. There's a coolness to the air. There's a little bit of wind and it is the perfect weather for planting. So we are just going to go right back out to the front bed and just continue on planting. I still have a bunch of stuff over here and I still don't know exactly what else I want to get in the bed, but I was able to get 11 plants and shrubs and trees in the ground yesterday and I just kind of want to keep that momentum going. So we're just going to dive right into it, and then once I'm done, or I feel I'm done for the day, then I'll take you guys back around and I'll show you what we did. Third time's a charm, right? Let's hope so. So we are on day 3 of this planting project. The planting project that should have taken 1 day has now spanned 3 days. So yesterday I put more stuff in the ground. I planted more stuff. I went through, I showed you guys everything. I talked about the plants. And then when I looked at the footage, all of the audio had failed. It was just a bunch of noise and pop and interference. So I came out here this morning and I wanted to walk you guys through it again and show you where I put everything, give you guys the stats on the plants, and just show you how everything looks. So here is how the bed looks now. Isn't it just so cute? I've got some evergreens in here, some perennials, some color, and I just love how it's just filling up. So let's start from left to right. We'll work from the back row, front. So right over here, this is the Gold Champion Arborvitae, and this grows 6 to 7 feet tall, 5 to 6 feet wide, and it is hardy down to a -40. This is a very slow grower, so it will take a few years for it to reach its full size. But I think this is going to be a good piece right here. Not only will it give us some winter interest, but it'll also block out this gutter and some of these recycling bins for now. And next to that, we've got the Scentlandia Sweet Spire. Initially, I was going to put the Vanilla Spice Summer Sweets in here, but those get a lot bigger. They get like 5 to 6 feet tall and wide, and I didn't really want to block like all of this view from inside. So I went with the Scentlandias because they only get 2 to 3 feet tall and wide. They are hardy in zones 5 through 9. They can take full sun, part sun, even a little bit of shade. And I think that's just going to look so pretty there. And in the fall, all of that foliage will turn like a very deep and bright burgundy and red, whereas the Vanilla Spice Sweet Spires, they turn a bright yellow. And I thought that was going to be too much yellow underneath every single window, and then right next to the Gold Champion Arborvitae. And then next to that, in between the two of the 3 Sweet Spires, I put in a couple of green velvet boxwoods. I picked these 2 in particular because these were buried in between all of the buddleias. And so I thought they needed to get a little bit more sun because they are kind of looking a little yellow a bit. But I think once they get a little bit more sun, they'll be good to go. And right over here, I've got one of the Pugster Pinker buddleias that we uprooted when the contractors were here and they needed to remove the downspout. And I'm kind of just putting it here to see if I like it. And I think I kind of do. And I know it's a little close to this, but I think they'll kind of play well together because this is pretty much at its full size. They only grow 2 feet tall and wide. So I don't know. We'll see. And then right over here in the front by the handrail and the front porch, I put in a sky pencil holly. I put one on the other side too, right over there. And Mo wanted a little bit of formality in here, and I actually kind of like it. I think it looks really good. And right next to it, I tucked in a denim and lace Russian sage. And this is going to give me this nice silvery blue texture and color that I kind of really want, and I really love too. And this little thing looks a little tiny now, but believe it or not, these things get up to 32 inches tall and 34 inches wide. So this thing will definitely put on some bulk. It is hardy in zones 4 through 9, and it blooms midsummer through mid-fall, probably right until the first frost kind of takes it. And it likes full sun. It doesn't like to be messed with. It doesn't like to be fertilized. Just kind of set it and forget it. I've got my leading lady orchid Monarda sitting over here. I haven't quite figured out where I want to put it yet, so it's just going to sit on top of the hose reel for now. Okay, so right over here, right next to the hose reel, I tucked in a Pyromania Hot and Cold Red Hot Poker, or a Nymphophia, for a little bit of that frilly, grassy texture, but the blooms on this thing are so pretty. They bloom like a white on the bottom, and as they age, they get this like yellow, creamy orange all the way up to the tip where it turns this like magnificent orange, and it kind of reminds me of a creamsicle. And I put one here, and I put a grouping of 3 over here, and a couple of them are in bloom, and look at that. Doesn't that remind you of a creamsicle? I love it. And I've got 3 of them over here, and I just think they're going to be so pretty there. And these can get pretty big, but not bulky. So I'm kind of like just interested to see what these are going to do. But these do get 30 to 36 inches tall. And I think that'll kind of add a little bit of like fullness right in here. And they get about 24 inches wide. So this will definitely fill in later on. And I'm okay with that for right now. I think it's going to be really pretty. They're hardy in zones 5 through 9, and they like pretty neutral soil. Just give them some water and some good draining soil, and I think they'll be good to go. And I paired them with this because the blooms on this pretty much match the blooms on the Nephophia. And I thought, what a cute little plant. This is the meant to be Queen Nectarine Agastache or Agastache. It depends on how you want to pronounce it. I don't really know. I kind of like Agastache. I think it sounds a little cuter, but I like the texture on this. I like the foliage, and I like how delicate the blooms are, but it also kind of brings in that color from the Nephophia too. And these will get 30 to 36 inches tall, 32 inches wide. They're hardy in zones 5 through 9 or down to -20, and they bloom midsummer to early fall, and they like full sun. Most everything in this bed likes full sun. I think the Scentlandia can handle part shade, but for the most part, everything in here is pretty much full sun. And then over here, we've got the Bobo hydrangea, and I planted one on each side of the Colorado blue spruce. This is a dwarf variety, but I think these are just going to be so pretty. These bloom from midsummer to late fall, and they have blooms from the bottom all the way to the top, and they come out this beautiful white, and then as they age they start fading to this pinky color into a bright pink, and I just think that's so pretty. And these are a dwarf hydrangea. They only get like 2.5 to 3 feet tall and maybe 3 to 4 feet wide. And I know they kind of look a little close right next to the Nephophia over here, but you know, if it eventually does get in the way, I can move the Nephophia. But these are hardy in zones 3 through 8. They like full sun, they can handle part shade. So if you live in a warmer climate, I probably would recommend like morning sun, afternoon shade. They like neutral to acidic soil too, and they like good drainage. So if you come across one of these, get it in the ground because these are gorgeous. And right here we've got this dwarf Colorado blue spruce, which I absolutely love. I'm so glad that I was able to find this because I wanted some evergreen interest and I wanted some shrubs and dwarf trees up here, but I don't like planting big trees so close to the house. And this little guy just fits perfectly right in here. So this guy gets 24 to 48 inches tall and wide. It's a slow grower, so it'll definitely take a few years for it to reach its mature size. Right now, I'd say it's about 18 inches tall and about 12, 14, probably 16 inches wide, but it's got that silvery blue gray texture and color to it that I just think is gorgeous right here. So this is hardy down to a -40, and it just needs full sun, good drainage. Fertilize it in the spring and this thing will be happy as can be. And then right over here in front of the Agastache and the Nephophia, I planted a little grouping of the Pink Profusion Salvia. which is not in bloom right now because we are a little bit late in the season, but these were kind of just hanging out in their containers and I needed to get them in the ground. And I thought this would be a cute little pop of like pink right around here because they get like 14 inches high and about 16 inches wide. So they'll do a nice little drift right here and just give a nice pop of color. And if I do end up putting that buddleia right there, I think that pink, along with the bright pink of the blooms on the pink profusion salvia, will just be beautiful. And it'll kind of tie the bed in together. Now let me take you over to the other side because I did do a little bit over here. Right over here, I kind of wanted to marry this bed with that bed a little bit. So here is the other sky pencil holly, and that is our little formality over here. And then I put in a couple of the Nymphophias right over here, another of the Agastache right there, and a denim and lace Russian sage. I don't know why that just doesn't roll off my tongue. But I just thought this would kind of tie this bed in with that one a little bit. And then right over here, I added some Helen von Stein lamb's ear. And this is gonna give me that beautiful silvery blue green color and that texture, and kind of just breaks it up a little bit because you've got the yellow, you've got the blue, and the red right there. And then pretty much a lot of the other bed is the green. Oh, I also wanted to show you too. This is the Jazz Hands pink loropetalum that we planted. And believe it or not, it's got a bloom on it. Look at that. Isn't it cute? Over there are our hydrangeas. We've got the little limes in front, the limelights in the back, and they're all from the clearance rack video. And they are just loving it. There's our little dwarf Alberta spruce. And that's this bed. Oh, and I still have all of this stuff left on the driveway, on the porch, and there's more in the backyard. I also wanted to show you real quick too. Do you see the difference in color between the soil? This is our native soil, and this is our soil with amendments like land and sea compost, gypsum, biotone starter fertilizer, and even some topsoil on here. And I didn't put any mulch or anything on this bed yet because I like to give the beds a couple days to kind of settle in. I want to see how everything levels out with a few waterings. If there's a few dips or pockets in the soil, then I can come in with some more topsoil and kind of regrade everything so there's no puddling. And then I'll come in here with a light layer of topsoil to kind of help keep this clay soil in place. And then I'll come in with some pine bark mulch and just kind of mulch everything up. And I did say I was going to show you guys the arborvitae hedge, and here it is. All 21 emerald green arborvitae are doing great. They are thriving. They're loving that they're out of their containers, and they're just getting situated, and they're slowly putting on some growth. And if I didn't mention it before, I don't have any exact plan on how I want these beds or this whole landscape to look. I'm kind of just going around and putting things in where I like them, where I'll enjoy them. And if, you know, eventually if something outgrows its space or is crowding something else, I'll move it, because clearly you guys have seen that I have no problem moving things around. But that's just kind of like how I do it. So it's kind of fun and exciting because I don't know how exactly it's going to end up. And, you know, I've said before, I've got this image in my head, but every time I get into the dirt, I change my mind, and that's okay. So if you go into your landscape and you think you want to do something and then you change your mind and you're unsure about it, try it. If it doesn't work, you can always just redo it or change it up. And that's the beauty of gardening. It's ever changing. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.